Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Deiser Connection. How you doing? I hope you're doing great. In this episode we have a guest that we wanted to ask some questions about Jira Administration's evolution. He's a really well-known Jira administrator. He has been working in the Atlassian ecosystem with Atlassian tools for several years, and you might know him by the name of the Jira Guy. He's Rodney Nissen, and he's gonna talk about, we're gonna ask him questions, and he's going to try to answer a few questions about Jira administration and that evolution that we mentioned. This is going to be only part one because we had a really long chat about it, and we wanted you to have it firsthand. So I'm going to leave you to that. Interview. So see you now. As I mentioned, we're here with the Jira Guy, with Rodney Nissen. Hey, Rodney, how's it going?
Hey, it's been a week, but I'm here. I'm well. Can't ask for more.
Cool. I'm really thankful. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm really thankful that I can see you, that you're healthy and nice and safe and sound, and it's pretty good. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Today, I wanted to go a little bit further onto the Jira Administration evolution, the episode that we talked about last week. And I thought, who's one of the best and one of the most interesting persons in order to ask questions about this Jira evolution? Because as we said, we came from server, then we moved to data center, and now we're in the cloud era. So Rodney, walk us through a little bit about your journey as a Jira admin, please.
I think my journey kind of reflects the overall Atlassian journey as a whole. When I started, Jira Admin wasn't a thing you were. It was one of the things you were, but it was a part of a larger job to that. I was managing like 5 different systems, Jenkins, Fisheye, obviously, Confluence, Jira, backup systems, some build systems, stuff like that. And Jira is just one of my systems now. Don't get me wrong, it was one of my noisier systems. It was one of the ones I had to pay attention to more, especially with the tickets coming in, but it wasn't my job. So I think even before we get to the true server area, we get to this era where it's just a part of your job. It's not, no one was really a full-time Jira admin, or very few of us were back then. Then we kind of move on to that, to the server area. And I think the first time I ever got a recruiter saying, "Hey, we just want you to be a Jira admin." I'm like, that's it? Well, you got Confluence too, but that's just kind of the opposite side of the same coin. Kind of blew my mind that someone wanted me to be a Jira admin. And then I think when a large company said, "We want you to be a Jira admin," that's just like, okay, this is my life now.
That's cool. Yeah, that's the Jira life. That's cool.
That's, as we say on the Jira life, we didn't choose the Jira life; it chooses us.
That's pretty good. Yeah, exactly.
And I've heard so many stories where people kind of accidentally fell into this role, and that's kind of where we got that motto from. Because most of us didn't choose. We didn't go to school to be a Jira admin. We didn't take lessons to be a Jira admin. It was a part of our job, and then it became our whole job.
That's really
so that's something that I felt really confident in saying that this is kind of a common pathway for people. So let's kind of make it the central focus here, because we really want to focus on the community and the people that make up the Atlassian ecosystem. But moving on to that, we had the server age, and this is where I came in. This is kind of my bread and butter. And the thing about being a Jira admin back then is you had to be a system admin on top of a Jira admin, because you were running that system and you only had that one system. And if it went down, Jira went down, and you had to respond to it because that's what you had. To say the architecture was not engineered for uptime in mind was an understatement there. Yeah, we had to do everything in our power to keep that system up. And that's often going to extraordinary lengths because that was your system. And that's the one revolution about data center that I really liked. Don't get me wrong, I did not enjoy moving from the server model, which was perpetual license. Yeah, you got to pay support if you want the upgrades, but that's if you don't pay the support, you still had your Jira instance.
Mm-hmm.
Data center moved that to a subscription, which is if you don't pay Atlassian, you don't get your data center system.
Yeah.
Period. I did not like that part. It felt contrary to what I felt Atlassian was, but dang, they added a lot of carrots to that.
Mm-hmm.
The multi-system, where now you're still as a sysadmin, but now you have multiple systems, so you can have one down to work on, and the rest take up the load to keep your overall Jira system up and servicing users. Some of the plans or advanced roadmaps portfolio, it has had multiple names over the years, but that being included was a great option. It really did kind of change the game because we started thinking, okay, this isn't just a tool that some of the teams are using. This is now an enterprise tool that is meant to be up and running 24/7, 365.
Mm-hmm.
We can start looking at those higher nines of availability. But with that came complexity because you had to set up all the support systems, all that. I know a lot of people who shied away from Jira Data Center because, like, server is simple. You just set it up, you set up the proxy, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Server, you're setting up the database server separately, you're setting up the share separately, you're setting up the load balancer separately, and that's on top of your multiple Jira nodes. Exactly. So now you're 7-8 systems deep on this overall architecture. I could get why they started separating out, the companies started separating out the sysadmin role from the Jira admin role. So you had your Jira sysadmins and your Jira front-end admins, and they'd work together, but they're taking on separate roles to support the overall system. Mm-hmm. But that does get expensive. There are very few people at this point that are double threats that could be both a sysadmin and a front-end admin, or an architect and a front-end admin. So the next evolution I kind of saw coming, but I'm still on the fence about personally. Because again, it still feels like Atlassian's moving a little bit more away from where they started as a company, as a culture. But we're talking about cloud.
Yeah, exactly. That's the next move. Yeah.
Yeah. Cloud is basically the proposition to companies now is, yeah, it's a little more expensive, but you're not having to pay a sysadmin now.
Yeah, that's it. It's something that you don't have to pay, something that goes out of the budget, so maybe you have more money to spend. I don't know, maybe more apps, for the Jira admin to install
more apps, more users. You can have your front end dedicated to onboarding people.
Exactly.
I get why the cloud became a thing, and I do understand the reason why they want to move to that model, but Atlassian has this bad habit. As soon as they get a new toy, they start ignoring their old toy.
Yeah.
We saw this with Data Center, where as soon as Data Center was a thing and it was established, servers stopped getting updates. They stopped getting features. All the new toys were getting added to Data Center. And I'm like, well, it's just what it is. They've only got so many resources, so many developer hours. And, well, if they have to put one over the other, they're going to do the moneymaker.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And when they announced the end of server, I called it. I said, look, we're going to get to a point, because this is Atlassian's playbook at this point, where data centers not going to start getting things because all the features are going to go to cloud.
Yeah.
And I think within a year, data center stopped being mentioned entirely in the keynotes.
Exactly.
And it's sad for those people who are left behind. I love hosting my own services. There's just, when you're hosting something and you see people using it, it is a thrill for me. So I was sad to see data center go, but I do see the clear advantages in cloud, because you could do things in a cloud environment where they're hosting the data center infrastructure, all that you can't do if you're trying to set it up all on your own. The large language models, AI, Atlassian Intelligence, it's a great example of that could never be executed unless you're a large chip maker who is making the tools or the hardware yourself. That's something you cannot do on your own.
Exactly.
So having that being in the cloud makes sense, and it's allowed those features, which are amazing features. But I always like to think about the Jira admins at the end of the day, and there's a whole class of sysadmins that are systematically being left behind by this push to cloud. And that's the part that makes me sad. And I've always advocated, hey, look, this cloud is going to be the next thing. You need to be learning it. If you're a sysadmin, get proficient on the front end. If you're a front end admin, get proficient in the cloud, because like it or not, the future is coming.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And knowing all that, and knowing that if you want to be a Jira admin, your best way and your best path is to prepare for the cloud. Do you think that is there anything that can be easier? Of course, it's gonna get easier from server to data center. Maybe data center a little bit complicated because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of things that you need to take into account. But is there anything that can get easier? I believe so, from data center to cloud for this person, this worker that wants to be a Jira admin? I hope this first part was really interesting for you, as it was for me, because Rodney has a lot of information. He has been working on Jira as a Jira administrator for several years, and he has really good suggestions about where to look to in the future. We'll be back with part 2 in the following weeks, because remember that next week the Atlassian Team 24 Europe will be held in Barcelona, and we will be there. So do not expect at the Deiser Connection episode next week, okay? We'll be back the other week. So hope you like this, and see you in a few weeks. Thank you very much for being there. Bye-bye.